What many of us have not recognised is that together we accelerate economic development on the continent. Individually, it's very difficult. Hello, can you do some more economic development in Egypt, please? Malawi, work a bit harder.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. Let's move on to my favourite picture from Facebook. The AI team in Facebook decided to plot every connection in Africa. So you can see large clumps of orange. When the clumps double in size, I'm not quite sure how they're going to do it. But over the next 25 years, the population of Africa is scheduled to double. That means more houses, more hospitals, more roads, more schools, more universities, more businesses, more fields, more forests. Huge amount of work to be done. I must salute the Sustainable Development Goals, but I have to say, my expectations have not been fulfilled.
True.
So what we're doing is bringing our focus onto business through SME partnerships, stimulating major projects, and then engaging with the Africa-friendly investors. We're looking for valid, viable, qualified projects. And to give you an idea of what's on my to-do list, next slide. This is my to-do list.
Are you copying?
We start with Angola at the top left, and we end with Zimbabwe down here on the right.
Wow.
130 pages of A4 of projects that our members are bringing forward in one form or another. I went to Togo last November. I came away with 26 projects in Lomé, and then an introduction to 8 of the other communes. There are 116 communes in Togo. And if you just said those 8 had 10 projects each, I came away from a week and a half in Togo with 106 projects. There is no shortage of work to be done. But what we're working on is 185 million going into agriculture in Zimbabwe. A 25% increase in yield on agricultural produce. It's approximate. Some crops a little more, some crops a little less. But can you imagine rice, an increase in nutritional value of 19%, an increase in yield of 29%,
Yeah.
and an investment in this product called EcoStim, which comes from Sussex, $185 per hectare of EcoStim delivers $3,500 of extra revenue. Now when you start looking at agriculture in Africa with that lens, it becomes very exciting. Next. In Tanzania, we're involved with a company from Lancaster who are planting 34 million trees. What they do with those trees is raise carbon credits. And using those carbon credits, they're contributing to the education of young people from Tanzania. Because the 34 million trees are divided by 17,500 secondary schools. The project is called Study with a Tree. Look for Study with a Tree on LinkedIn and you will find all about that program. Next. In Sierra Leone, we're working on the development of 8,000 houses. We're going to create something like 16,000 new jobs. We're going to create 8 vocational colleges. And we're going to train 28,000 students a year. And our plan is to negotiate with the government there for this to be a rolling program over 5 years. So 28,000 times 5. 100,000 or more people who are involved in learning how to do things and run businesses. And why are we doing this? Well, there are some pretty critical things that we need to address. And I heard it in your introduction. Next slide. And when they made me an outlaw, they took my ability to come and say, "Hello, how are you? Nice to meet you." I was breaking the law. I probably had a beer and I could have been arrested. But during the pandemic, I sat down with some research and I looked at GDP per head as being a way of finding some sort of equality between what's going on in different places. And I'm going to point out three things here. Here in the UK in 2020, just by being here, we generated $40,284 a head. While in Burundi, they struggled to do 75 per head per year.
That's incredible.
The biggest economy in Africa, Nigeria, $2,097. And the world average, just $11,000. So Nigeria has to grow 5 times to get to be a world average economy. So for those of you who didn't make it today, that is our challenge. On to the next slide. And Nigeria sits here. How many Nigerians in the room? Just 1 or 2, 3, 4? Okay. Well, I'm not saying this as an insult, but you're top of the second division. And I've just recently added the arrows at the top there. These guys need to grow twice. This is the 5 times zone. This is the 10 times zone. This is the 20 times zone. And down here, 40 times. But you will need a time machine because you have to go back to 2020 to deliver those improvements. So we've already taken 4 years and we haven't made much impact. Next slide. Because this is where we are now. UK is at 48,860 or something. World average is 13,138. Sub-Saharan Africa, 1,636. So when you employ someone and you pay them £2,000 a year, you're paying them more. When they get to earn 10,000, you're bringing them towards this level. But we need to do that for 1.2 billion people. And we've got a population growth going on. So we actually need to be budgeting on 1.6, 1.8 billion people earning that sort of money. So, let's talk about Cambridge. Here we are in Cambridge. We have 6,292 business professionals, of which 6,285 didn't make it today. We have 1,500 people with EMEA notifications about their job. So they have budgets, they have projects, they have contracts that are about building business in Africa. Why are we not talking to them? Kenya 324, Nigeria 296, Tanzania 235, Ghana 226, Egypt 217. Uganda, going all the way down, 8 people from Gabon. Now, I haven't searched all the countries because I didn't have time to do that, but it gives an indication of the Africa-oriented business audience in Cambridge. How many Cambridge companies are thinking about taking their products to Africa? Who knows? Next. This is a picture of the 506,000 across the UK, about a third in London, about a third in places where we have contacts and members, and about a third in others. Places like Huntingdon, because I haven't chased Huntingdon. I haven't done Derby either. But when you talk about the potential of Africa, these people have technology, they have expertise, they have knowledge, they're looking for finance, they're looking for investment. How do we mobilise them? On we know. And when you look at the whole 506,000, South Africa, 99,000, but they've run away for a different reason. I think run away is the right expression. Nigeria, 75,000. Why is there no Chamber of Commerce for Nigeria in the UK? Kenya, 37,000. How many people from Kenya here today? How many people from Cambridge going to Kenya on the UK-Kenya trade mission tomorrow? So these are some of the issues that we need to be looking at in terms of what we do to engage with business, to engage with investment, to engage with development and solving some of the problems that you were alluding to earlier in your opening. So our strategy is, on to the next, let's look at the issues of our three core markets. So we have African issues, government partnerships, big business, infrastructure funding, UK and international partnerships. What do we do about the $1 million startup? How can you start a business that is big enough to deal with the problem, but you don't have the track record? Massive SME group. Turn some of those micro businesses into small businesses, into medium-sized businesses. We've got to move it forward. Social inequalities, desperation. Diaspora issues. The need to address the African issues, because we know, because it's our auntie, it's our brother, it's our cousin, it's our nephew, it's our niece. How do we find funding? How do we minimize risk? I have a 9 to 5, sorry, I have to go. And then you've got the UK perceptions. I know quite a bit about this. We need new markets. We can't afford to pay our nurses and our doctors what they think they ought to earn. Our bus drivers are a bit of a problem as well, and we're not doing too well on the trains. And we've got into the habit of saying, Mr. Government, please give me a handout. I'm a consultant. I'm working for the country. Please. Who's got a bounce back loan? Who's paying their bounce back loan off? And when we look at Africa, we look at corruption and political risk and currency risk, and there are all sorts of other reasons why we don't want to go there. It's a high cost of engagement. Have you stayed at a hotel in Lagos recently? £400 a night?
Wow, insane.
I think we should work with people we know, like the French and the Germans. So actually, there's a whole stack of work to be done in addressing some of these perceptions that, as far as Africa is concerned, are mostly wrong. Mostly unfounded, and mostly in need of an update. Next. So, my proposal to this meeting is that we should walk away as members of the Cambridge Africa Business Alliance. And that here we are, where we are, we will do what we can. Nobody can ask more than that. But actually, if we had a few conversations around the room, we'd probably find points of interest. where we could collaborate on things. And the rest you've seen before, so next. So if we were to create cover to drive business into Africa from Cambridge, we'd want to work with our friends. So who are our friends? Well, our high commissions and embassies, which will give us reach into all the ministries and parastatals, they're our friends. UK government wants to be our friend, but they don't know how to be our friend. The African diaspora with its links in the UK and in Africa, and then our members are our friends, our affiliates are our friends, and contacts with UK businesses in Cambridge with the Chamber of Commerce, with the Institute of Directors, with the Federation of Small Business, with BNI and others. There are a lot of people who could act positively towards this sort of organisation. It needs to be African-led. We have a team system. That means no responsibility falls on one person.